Democrats have reached a $20 million deal with a PR firm to promote the law to the American people, raising questions about why spending $20 million right now on a law that could be ruled unconstitutional any day makes sense. Leslie Marshall is a syndicated radio talk show host and Fox News contributor. Lars Larson is a syndicated radio host with Compass Media Networks. Welcome to you both.
Good morning.
All right, Leslie, we're expecting another round of opinions from the Supreme Court on Thursday. No clue at all whether the health care law will be included, but between now and the end of the term in the next few weeks, they're going to make a ruling with the chance that they could strike down part or all of the law. Why spend the $20 million?
Well, honestly, I know Lars is going to completely disagree with me just because it's Tuesday, right, Lars? But on this especially.
You bet.
One of the things I have to say. One of the things I have to say, and I've always said that the Democrats really failed at doing, was to present the information in a concise and understandable manner to the American people. I can't tell you how many times this issue comes up on my talk show, and people will call in and have completely misinformation, wrong ideas on what's in there. So to spend the money to let the American people know, because I believe strongly that the Supreme Court is not going to throw the whole thing out. I mean, if they consider the mandate unconstitutional. And how do you say to Americans, oh, if you have a pre-existing condition, well, too bad. How do you say, let's plug up, let's put a hole back where we plugged up that hole in the donut for those seniors on Medicare. So the American people need to know, especially because there is an election in November, and not just for president, obviously for positions in the House and the Senate, they need to be informed so that they get the correct information, as opposed to a lot of the misinformation, which is I believe, the American people's perception of the Affordable Care Act.
And Lars, to be fair, built into the act, this money was built into the act to go ahead and pay for the PR to, be out there. So it's not a distinct, separate expenditure. It was already built into the law.
Well, but what's foolish about this, and in this case what Leslie is ignoring, the elephant, or in this case the donkey in the living room, is that the Supreme Court is probably going to scrap this law. And if they scrap the mandate, of course, that you referred to, they're going to scrap the whole law because there's no severability clause. So without getting into the weeds, the reason the president wants to spend this $20 million right now instead of waiting a month or so, end of June we're going to know one way or another, is he doesn't want to be scrapped. So this is $20 million that will be used by a federal government agency, money from the taxpayers, to promote President Obama and his idea. The fact is, Leslie knows that it's members of her party who said, gosh, we have to pass the law to find out what's inside of it. And frankly, I don't think any of us know exactly how this law is going to roll in. There are going to be tons of unintended consequences, but I think the president already knows. We saw in the speech he gave after the arguments, he's very angry about this. I think he's angry because somebody already slipped the word to Barack Obama. This law is dead in front of the Supreme Court. So if he doesn't start spending the money now to benefit his campaign, then he's not going to be able to spend it at all when they scrap the whole law.
Well, and Lars, you mentioned a possible leak there. I can tell you the Supreme Court is one of the tightest places in Washington. Very tough to get information out there. I know that there is speculation that somehow the president's been tipped off, but we certainly don't know for sure yet. I want to point to some Fox polling that we had just after the arguments, asking what they thought the Supreme Court should do. 66% of them said strike part or all of this law. So, Leslie, do you think that's because they have misinformation about what's in it?
I do. I honestly do, because I'm just amazed. I mean, first of all, Lars, you always, you say, oh, well, they have to read it to know what's in it. One thing, to be accurate, most congressional members, and it's really sad, don't read almost every piece of legislation that they vote on, especially when you look at the thousands of pages. It's not an excuse, but it's a reality. So if you want to say they don't read this one, let's talk about all the others that you guys try to push through that they haven't read. But when we deal with the perception, yes, absolutely. I cannot. The perception is that they have to lose the insurance they have now if they're happy with it. The perception is that they're going to have to pay more. The perception is that their taxes are going to be increased to pay for it.
Leslie.
I mean, the perception is that they're going to lose their business if this is passed. The perception is everything goes into effect tomorrow. The perception is that jobs are going to be lost. The list goes on and on of information that is just not accurate.
Let me point out something to Leslie that she's ignoring. I've already lost money, and so has every other American who had a flex plan, for example, because Obamacare cuts the flex plans in half. That means an awful lot of Americans who used flex plans to pay for their kids' braces or to pay for, especially for special needs families who have kids with special needs, They cut that thing in half. That already is a fiscal impact on an average American family of $500 in additional taxes that they have to pay already. So when you say that's not going to happen, second issue is we've already got companies that are discussing whether it makes more financial sense to pay a small fine and dump their health insurance, group insurance, for all their employees and throw people under the government health care insurance bus. And they're saying this makes financial sense. We're going to have to do it that way. Competition in the American marketplace will force them. So, Leslie, people are already losing the health care that they loved, which shows one of the lies from President Obama, and it was a lie. And they already are paying this year more taxes. So those are two misunderstandings. I know if we were all as smart as liberals, we'd just love this thing to death. Fortunately, some of us can see through the baloney that comes from the White House on this, and now the president wants to spend $20 million to promote his baloney.
All right, we just have a second left. Leslie, I'll give you a final quick word here.
Go for it,
bottom
Leslie.
line, Lars, my insurance, and I have Blue Cross, and I am a small business owner, went up 3 times during the administration prior to the Affordable Care Act being passed. So insurance companies have been raising premiums for years. No, it's not, but it's not going up. It has been steady, I must say, for the past year. And I know you want to pay for it, Lars. I know you're concerned. I really appreciate it.
I'm sure that he will.
Which is an advantage.
We'll connect you too, so he can stroke you a check. Leslie and Lars, thank you both. Always good to see you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right.